What is the Kansas Library eCard? You might hear it called either the State Library Card, the KSLC, the Kansas Library eCard, or just the eCard. These names all refer to the same thing. The Kansas Library eCard is the state library's digital library card that allows users to access our ebook and audiobook collections, as well as access our databases and other online resources remotely if they aren't able to access them through our geo-verified links from our website. If you don't already have your library's admin credentials, we have a form on our website where you can request them. Simply go to kslib.info/ecardadmin to get started. I'll show you what that looks like. Once you're on the eCard admin page, to get to the actual login screen, click on Admin Login for Librarians. If you don't know your library's admin credentials, just click on this link here. Need login information for your library? That takes you to a simple form to request that information. Just tell us who you are, what library you work for, and your email address, and we can send out the information to you. Please make sure that you put your work email address in when filling out this form. That confirms for us that you do indeed work for the library for which you're requesting credentials. In addition, if I go back 2 screens, I can also find instructions and an FAQ that covers most of the information that I'm talking about today. So don't feel like you have to memorize any of it. So who exactly is eligible for a Kansas Library eCard? Any resident of Kansas is eligible to receive an eCard. There aren't any age limits. Additionally, there are some exceptions to the Kansas residency requirement. The first of these exceptions is students or faculty who are enrolled or employed at a Kansas college or university. This includes remote students. So if you've got students or faculty who live in states other than Kansas, as long as they are currently enrolled at or working for a Kansas college or university, they are also eligible for a Kansas Library eCard. The second exception is employees currently working at locations in Kansas, even if they live outside of the state. They too are eligible for a Kansas Library eCard. And the third exception is military service persons. Anyone who's in the military and a resident of Kansas, even if they're deployed outside of the state, is eligible to receive an eCard. The reverse of this is also true. Any military service members currently deployed at locations in Kansas, regardless of their residency or home state, are also eligible for a Kansas Library eCard. When creating Kansas Library eCards, we encourage you to use the same vetting processes that you use when signing patrons up for your own library's services. No additional steps are necessary or required by us. We have empowered you to issue these cards, and we trust your professional judgment. Typically, if someone who's already a card-holding patron of your library asks you to issue them a Kansas Library eCard, we would encourage you to just go ahead and issue it to them. They've obviously shown that they're a resident of Kansas in order to get a library card for your library, so they are therefore also eligible for the state library's services. Now I'm going to show you how to use the Kansas Library eCard Administrator Portal to search, modify, and renew, as well as create Kansas Library eCards. Once I've logged in through the login screen, the very first thing I'm going to want to do when encountering a patron who wants an eCard is to look them up in the system. I don't want to create a new eCard account for them if one already exists, because we find that multiple accounts under the same name can cause confusion for the patron and confusion for library staff when it comes time to renew or modify an eCard. In this instance, I'm going to search for the patron I'm assisting, Miss Clara Twain. The first thing I'll do is click Look up an existing account. It's important to note that I can only complete one of the fields on this search screen, not both. So even if I already knew Clara's eCard number, I would only want to enter either that number or her last name, but not both, as the system would reject my search. Entering Clara's last name in the search field and clicking search, I find that there is already a Kansas Library eCard under her name. If she were in front of me, I'd probably want to ask her for her date of birth and middle initial, just to ensure that this truly is her account and not just someone who shares her name. From the search results screen, I can also see that her eCard doesn't expire until November 3rd, 2023. So it is still active, and she should be able to access all the resources that the state library has to offer. If I wanted to dig a little deeper, I could click on the library card number here under the patron ID column. If I do that, I can actually go in and make changes to Clara's eCard account. So if Clara comes in and tells me she's changed her name, or perhaps the staff person who created her eCard account mistyped her name or date of birth, I can actually go in and update or correct those pieces of information. From the Modify Account screen, I can also add or modify the email address field. This email address is only sent a message when the account is initially set up, informing the patron of their Kansas Library eCard number. But this field is also useful for differentiating accounts with the same name. Keep in mind that while you can search for and renew any eCard account, you only have the permissions to modify or delete eCard accounts that were created by your library. Once I've made the necessary changes, I can then click Save to make those changes permanent. You'll also note that from the Modify Account screen, I can renew or delete a patron's eCard. Renewing an eCard advances the expiration date to 3 years after the date I renewed it. So since today's date is July 12th, 2022, if I were to renew Clara's eCard account today, that would make her new expiration date July 12th, 2025. Clara would need to get her card renewed before that date in order to maintain access to state library resources. Clicking any of the buttons at the bottom, including Save, Renew, Delete, or this red Go Back link, will take me back to the search results screen. If I didn't find the person I was looking for, I could click the Administrative Options menu at the bottom of this page to go back to the main menu. Now let's say instead that we've got a new patron who we're sure doesn't have an account. We already searched for them and their name isn't in the database. From the main menu, we're going to click Create an Account. And then we'll come in here and enter all of their information, including first name, last name, middle initial, date of birth, and optionally, an email address. All fields except for the email address field are required. If you encounter a person who doesn't have a middle initial or a middle name, you can simply enter X, period, or some other placeholder. Today, I'm helping John Brown, who's just come in to get a Kansas Library eCard. I'll enter his information here, including a period in the middle initial, since he apparently doesn't have a middle name. When I come to the date of birth field, I'm going to enter it in the manner you're likely used to, with slashes between month, date, and year. Since he didn't have an email address he wanted to add to this account, I'm all done and can now click the Create Profile button to issue his new Kansas Library eCard. As you can see, I've made a mistake, but the system informs me of this and allows me to correct it. Once I've done that, the form will then be cleared of the information I entered, but you'll notice here at the top, there's some red text. It says user created, and then provides a user ID number. This 6-digit number is the eCard number for the patron's new Kansas Library eCard. I would then give that number to my patron, perhaps on a Kansas Library eCard brochure that I printed out from the state library's website. And I would inform him that the password or PIN for his eCard account is going to be his date of birth, all in numbers, with 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, and 4 digits for the year, with no slashes or dashes.